A little girl, lovingly described by her family as the glue that held everyone together, always bringing laughter and pink bows wherever she went. Endured far too many warning signs in plain sight of the adults around her. So what caused everyone to remain silent until it was too late? And can we come together to seek justice for this case? Today, we come to a quiet suburban town in New Jersey with small streets, familiar neighborhoods, and a slow, gentle pace of life where this story begins. In December 2013, as the area was experiencing a major snowstorm that blanketed the city in white and cast an icy stillness over everything, Charlette James Dawkins was born on December 11th, 2013. Charlette was the daughter of Caitlin Roysden and Anthony Dawkins. She had an older half-brother on her father's side. And at the time this story unfolds, she was excited to learn that she was about to become a big sister. Charlette once innocently told her godmother, Kirsten, that if the baby were a girl, she would dress her in beautiful gowns and put bows in her hair just like her own, a simple, childlike thought filled with love. Charlotte's family often said that she was the thread that held everyone together. She had long, curly blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and a radiant smile that instantly drew people in. Her grandmother, Renee Rodriguez, described Charlette as small but strong and incredibly lovable. Charlette adored both princesses and superheroes. She loved wearing crowns, but was just as happy dressing up as Batman. Pink was her favorite color. She loved dresses, big bows, and one of her simplest joys was sitting and eating French fries with her grandfather. Charlotte's grandmother once said that nearly everyone who met her fell in love with her immediately. Growing up surrounded by a large, loving family, with grandparents and relatives always close by, Charlette is remembered as a pure soul, a special presence that no one who knew her could ever forget. Charlotte's mother, Caitlin Roysden, grew up in a large family with a fairly complex structure, where relationships overlapped, yet remained connected like one extended family. Charlotte's parents separated about 1 year after she was born, and afterward each went on to build a life with new partners. However, family ties were still maintained among everyone. Caitlin's mother, Renee Rodriguez, had a total of 8 children, while Caitlin's stepfather had 3 children of his own. Caitlin's biological father, James Roysden, had a long-term relationship with Michelle Eberl, who always treated Caitlin as if she were her own daughter. Michelle's daughter, Kirsten, also viewed Caitlin as a sister, and over time their bond grew incredibly close. Caitlin began dating Anthony Dawkins in 2012, and just 1 year later, at the age of 18, she gave birth to Charlette. Kirsten was not only an aunt by family ties, but was also chosen as Charlotte's godmother. And from the very first meeting, she felt an immediate and special connection to her. From being a carefree young woman, Kirsten almost instantly stepped into the role of a devoted aunt, as Charlotte's tiny presence quickly captured her heart and made her realize she had never loved anyone as deeply as she did this little girl. When Charlette was only about 1 month old, she experienced a serious health issue and had to be hospitalized for treatment. And it was during this period that the first visible cracks within the family began to surface. Instead of staying at the hospital to care for her fragile daughter, Caitlin left to spend time with Anthony, a decision that deeply infuriated her mother, Renee Rodriguez, Renee believed that Charlotte had been left in an inappropriate situation at a time when she desperately needed close attention, and in her anger. She even spoke of contacting Child Protective Services. The conflict between mother and daughter escalated intensely, largely playing out on social media, and led to a stretch of time in which they were almost completely estranged. Although their relationship was later repaired, this would not be the only time the same pattern repeated, as after each major argument, Caitlin often chose to cut off contact with her mother for a period of time. The relationship between Caitlin and Anthony also quickly unraveled, and by early 2014, the two officially separated. They were unable to reach any real agreement on co-parenting, and Anthony gradually disappeared from Charlotte's life, to the point that during this time, the little girl had almost no clear understanding of her biological father's role. After the breakup, Caitlin and Charlotte moved in with Caitlin's father, during a period the family believed would finally bring some sense of stability. In the summer of 2016, Caitlin began a relationship with Travis Graham, who was living with his parents in a townhouse on Bittersweet Road, located in a suburban neighborhood of Camden County, New Jersey. The relationship progressed quickly, and within a short period of time. Caitlin and Charlette moved in with Travis, creating a living situation that many would later describe as unusual and unstable. At that time, Travis's former girlfriend, Chelsea, was still living in the house as well, along with her 4-year-old son, whom she shared with Travis. During this period, Chelsea stated that she was often the one caring for Charlette, as Caitlin and Travis wanted space for their relationship. Chelsea also expressed concern after noticing that Caitlin sometimes displayed inappropriate caregiving behaviors, occasionally leaving unusual marks on Charlotte's face, though these issues were never formally reported. Not long afterward, Chelsea moved out of the house and later married someone else. In January 2017, Travis Graham proposed to Caitlin, and she accepted while pregnant with his child. From the outside, they appeared to be a young family building a new life together. But behind that image was a troubled past tied to Travis. Previously, Travis had been involved in misconduct as a juvenile and had accumulated a total of 10 prior charges connected to various incidents, 7 of which were handled in local municipal court, and 3 under the jurisdiction of the New Jersey Superior Court. Just 1 month after the engagement, in February 2017, Travis became involved in another serious incident at a convenience store, using a dangerous object to threaten staff and take cash and merchandise, an act later believed to be connected to the use of harmful substances. There were also allegations surrounding Travis that he exhibited uncontrolled behavior toward members of his family. During this same period, relatives began noticing unusual signs on Charlotte's body, including a mark on her leg that did not resemble a typical accident, though Caitlin explained it as a normal skin reaction. When Charlotte complained of discomfort in her abdominal area, Caitlin stated that the child had fallen from a bunk bed. Not long after, Charlotte's grandmother, Renee Rodriguez, observed additional concerning signs on her body and once again expressed her intention to contact Child Protective Services. Afterward, Renee Rodriguez denied ever saying that she would contact Child Protective Services, possibly out of a desire to protect her daughter. But whether she said it or not, the reality was that no one contacted New Jersey's child protection authorities. No report was filed, no investigation was opened, and everything once again passed in silence. As had happened many times before, tensions between Caitlin and her mother continued to escalate, leading Caitlin to cut off contact with Renee for several months. In early 2017, Caitlin brought Charlotte to Kirsten's workplace so she could play for a while. And after the two of them left, the 3-year-old unexpectedly ran back into the building just to hug her godmother one more time. A small moment that would later haunt many people. Renee never shared any of her suspicions with Kirsten, and Kirsten had no idea that anything was wrong. In early March of that year, Anthony expressed a desire to visit Charlette, but because he and Caitlin could not reach an agreement, the visit never happened. On March 13th, Caitlin went to work and left Charlotte at home with Travis, saying that Charlotte had been irritable, refused to take a nap, and had damaged an iPad screen, so she was told to go lie down. Travis stated that while going up the stairs, Charlotte slipped, but he claimed he heard the noise and managed to catch her in time, and that he texted Caitlin to inform her that Charlotte had just taken a fall. Approximately 3 hours after the text message sent to Caitlin, Travis arrived at the emergency department of Jefferson Stratford Hospital in a state of panic, his clothes soiled, carrying Charlotte, who was completely unresponsive. At that moment, Charlotte showed no signs of reaction, prompting medical staff to immediately recognize the severity of the situation. Doctors made the urgent decision to transport Charlotte by medical helicopter to Cooper University Hospital in Camden, where better resources were available to address critical injuries. Travis did not accompany Charlotte on the helicopter flight. Instead, he left the hospital to pick up Caitlin, and the two then went together to Cooper Hospital. During this time, Caitlin called family members and said that Charlotte had been involved in an accident caused by a fall. Upon hearing the news, Kirsten rushed to Cooper Hospital so urgently that she was stopped at the metal detector upon arrival. Family members gradually gathered in the emergency waiting area, while Travis arrived with Caitlin, still wearing the same clothes he had not had time to change. While waiting, Kirsten asked Travis what had happened to Charlette while he was caring for her, and Travis again stated that Charlette had fallen, but that he managed to catch her in time, insisting that he had called for help immediately. Shortly afterward, the family heard an announcement over the hospital loudspeaker about an emergency patient arriving by helicopter, and they understood that it was Charlette. Despite doctors making every possible effort to intervene and sustain her life, Charlotte's condition deteriorated rapidly, her heart repeatedly entering critical states, and medical evaluations revealed that she had suffered severe head trauma. In addition, the medical team documented multiple other signs of injury across Charlotte's body, and by that point, the doctors were forced to confront the reality that although her body was being sustained by medical measures, Charlotte's brain function was no longer capable of recovery. One of the doctors stepped out into the waiting area to speak directly with the family and told them that they could no longer avoid the truth Charlotte would never regain consciousness. The little girl who had always shown care for others was now facing an irreversible farewell. Charlotte's family was forced to confront an agonizing decision to allow everything to end at that moment, or to continue medical support in the hope that her body could help others through donation. When they were finally allowed into the intensive care unit, Kirsten nearly collapsed at the sight of Charlette. Her face bore so many signs of injury that, if not for her familiar long blonde curls, it would have been difficult to recognize the small body lying beneath the warming blankets. Confronted with what she saw, Kirsten once again asked Travis what had happened while he was responsible for Charlotte's care, because she needed to understand how Charlotte could have ended up in such a critical condition. Travis repeated a version of the same story he had told earlier, but Kirsten noticed that certain details had changed and sensed that he was not telling the truth. Shortly afterward, Kirsten overheard doctors discussing concerns related to possible harm to a child. When questioned by police, Travis continued to give the familiar account that Charlette had fallen and that he tried to catch her before she hit the ground, stating that he spent some time trying to calm her before she lost consciousness, then noticed something unusual about her clothing and attempted basic aid before taking her to the emergency room. However, this account did not align with the medical assessments documented by doctors, and Travis was unable to explain the several-hour delay before he sought emergency medical assistance for Charlette. On the following day, March 14, 2017, Charlette was legally declared beyond recovery, and the medical team continued life support measures to preserve the necessary biological functions for donation purposes. Caitlin signed documents transferring full medical decision-making authority to Kirsten, then left the hospital with Travis and never returned. Kirsten, who was only 20 years old at the time, stayed by Charlotte's side for the next 2 days, holding her hand and whispering to her, repeating over and over how much she loved her. Kirsten remained with Charlette as investigators and medical staff carried out the required procedures, documenting signs of injury and following medical preservation protocols, while she held Charlette close, apologizing for not realizing sooner what was happening, for not being able to protect her in time, and for not being able to keep her here. Later, Kirsten described that period as the deepest pain of her life the moment she kissed Charlotte's small face, held her tiny hands, and felt the fragility of a life being sustained by medical equipment. A sensation she said only those who have lived through it can truly understand. Kirsten held Charlotte's hand until the early morning of March 16, 2017, when Charlette was taken into surgery for organ donation. And in that way, the little girl who had always cared for others continued to bring hope to other families, just like the superheroes Charlette had loved so much. Approximately 7 months later, in October, Caitlin gave birth to another baby girl, and according to family members, Charlette had been very excited about becoming a big sister before everything happened. Despite growing suspicions among relatives that Travis was directly involved in Charlotte's tragedy, Caitlin continued the relationship and remained engaged to him. Not long afterward, the couple lost custody of the newborn, and in the months that followed, Kirsten was granted guardianship, a decision that brought the family some measure of relief amid their grief and the fear that Charlette might never receive the justice she deserved. In February of the following year, Caitlin married Travis and changed her name to Caitlin Graham. That June, another serious incident occurred at the Pine Run Deli and a nearby store, when a masked individual wearing a hoodie used a dangerous object to threaten employees and take money. Several local residents provided tips to police, suggesting Travis may have been involved, and after confirming his identity through surveillance footage, authorities arrested Travis on July 11, 2018. He was charged with multiple counts related to serious theft offenses and illegal possession of dangerous items, later pleaded guilty, and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. During questioning, Travis told police he needed money to support his use of harmful substances and admitted to severe dependency, saying it was a way for him to forget many things, including Charlotte's passing. As the investigation continued, Travis gave a different statement, claiming that Charlette had refused to take a nap, that they were standing near the staircase, and that during a moment of lost control, Charlette slipped, lost consciousness, and was taken to the hospital shortly afterward. However, Text messages Travis sent to Caitlin that day revealed a completely different timeline, with multiple inconsistencies and, most notably, a delay of several hours before he reported taking Charlotte to the emergency room. A detail that became central in casting serious doubt on Travis's account. After admitting his actions to investigators in August 2018, Travis was formally charged in connection with Charlotte's death, with the offense classified as endangering the welfare of a child, resulting in particularly severe consequences. Because he was also tied to multiple prior cases. Travis remained in custody while awaiting trial, even after making his admission. During this period, Caitlin continued to maintain contact with Travis while he was being held, a fact that deeply disappointed and disturbed many members of the family. In March 2019, Caitlin posted a message on social media seeking donations for the organization Strong Prison Wife and Families. A move that sparked strong backlash from relatives who could not understand why she continued to stand by Travis after everything that had happened. And the post was ultimately taken down several months later. In May 2019, prosecutors offered Travis a plea deal that would have required him to accept responsibility in exchange for a 40-year prison sentence. But he rejected it, while the defense proposed a sentence of only 15 years, which prosecutors deemed entirely inconsistent with the severity of the case, leading to a trial being scheduled for July 8th. Travis never entered that courtroom, because on June 28th, he accepted a different agreement, admitting responsibility in a particularly serious case connected to Charlotte's death, along with 3 additional charges related to conspiracy to commit threatening theft offenses. Sentencing was scheduled for July 26th and was presided over by Superior Court Judge Wendelin Blue in Camden County. In their presentation, prosecutors detailed the extent of the harm Charlotte had endured, determining that the direct cause of her death was severe head trauma, which was initially documented as unclear, but, once the circumstances were fully examined, was classified as an intentional act of harm. During Charlotte's treatment, injuries across her body were thoroughly documented, revealing multiple indicators that could not have resulted from a single incident, as the injuries were in different stages of healing, reflecting that they had occurred at various points in time. Medical experts also noted that some of these signs had been present for at least 1 week prior to the final incident, indicating that Charlotte had endured significant suffering over an extended period without timely medical intervention, even though certain other findings could be attributed to common household accidents. During the sentencing hearing, Charlotte's family presented a video approximately 15 minutes long, capturing moments from her short but deeply loved life. Travis sat in the courtroom just a short distance from the screen, yet he kept his head down, avoiding eye contact and never once watching the images being shown. When it was Kirsten's turn to speak about the impact the case had left behind, she stepped forward wearing bright pink socks decorated with large bows, a small but powerful detail, as those were something Charlotte had dearly loved. In her statement, Kirsten repeatedly referred to Travis as a boy, saying that no real man could ever behave in such a way, and expressed that her only wish was for the person responsible for this tragedy to carry the weight of accountability for the rest of his life. She said the act was not only a devastating wrongdoing, but also an act of extreme selfishness, because it stole an entire life before it had the chance to begin and robbed the family of the opportunity to watch Charlotte grow up. According to Kirsten, those moments are gone forever, from Charlotte's first day of school, to learning how to ride a bike, to the simple, innocent joys of childhood, and even the future possibility of growing up, loving, and becoming a whole person. All of it taken away permanently. Travis was sentenced to 20 years in prison, directly related to Charlotte's death, along with an additional 10 years for conspiracy to commit threatening theft offenses. With this sentence to be served consecutively to the 5-year sentence he had previously received for similar incidents in Gloucester and Salem counties. Under the court's ruling, Travis must serve a minimum of 25 years of the total 30-year term before becoming eligible for parole, and he is currently serving his sentence at Northern State Prison in Newark. During the sentencing, Superior Court Judge Gwendolyn Blue stated that Charlotte had left a profound impact during her short life. She said,
"I never met Charlette, but I feel like I know so much about this little girl and the impact she had on people. Not everyone has the ability to make others feel special or to see the good in everyone. It seems Charlette was gifted with that ability. The ability to make people feel good about themselves. We are all given an assignment when we are born, and Charlette certainly had one."
The judge also noted that she did not see genuine remorse from Travis throughout the proceedings. She continued,
"I know he appears stone-faced, but I see nothing that indicates remorse."
Concluding her remarks, Judge Gwendolyn Blue offered comfort to Charlotte's family by reminding them that Charlotte had never truly disappeared. She said,
"You did not lose your granddaughter. She is still here."
When I look back at this entire story, I can't help but ask myself a haunting question: why were there so many warning signs appearing one after another? Yet no protective mechanism was activated in time. The concerns voiced by family members, the visible abnormalities, the repeated mentions of contacting authorities, all of it existed. But in the end, it stopped at words and emotions. No child protection file was ever opened while Charlotte was still there, still in need of protection, still needing someone to speak up for her. In stories like this, the tragedy doesn't come only from the individual who caused harm, but is also shaped by silence, hesitation, and the fragile hope that somehow everything would resolve itself. Charlotte was not lacking love, but she was missing a system that was fast enough, strong enough, and decisive enough to act on the instincts that were ultimately ignored. Charlotte's farewell service was held on March 20th, 2017, at Beese Funeral Home in New Jersey. And during the service, she was dressed in the outfit she had personally chosen for Easter, even though that holiday would not arrive until April the 24th, nearly a month after her family said goodbye. After the service, the visible signs of injury on Charlotte's body were carefully covered with clothing and makeup, so that the final image of her could remain as peaceful and whole as possible. Following the ceremony, Charlotte was cremated, all while it remained true that during her life, no child protection case had ever been formally opened on her behalf. It was only after Travis was charged that New Jersey's Division of Child Protection and Permanency DCCP conducted an investigation and concluded there was sufficient evidence that Travis had caused severe harm to Charlotte and failed to provide necessary medical care, resulting in especially serious consequences. DCCP also determined that Caitlin bore partial responsibility, stating that she did not make reasonable efforts to adequately protect her daughter, and concluded that failures in care and protection contributed to the tragedy that occurred. However, according to Renee Rodriguez, the court did not pursue charges against Caitlin, citing that Caitlin was at work at the time the incident occurred and was not physically present. Even so, there have remained deeply divided opinions within the family, with some believing that Caitlin was aware of Travis's use of harmful substances and his involvement in prior threatening theft incidents, and suspecting that she may also have known that Charlotte had been treated inappropriately. Caitlin has repeatedly insisted that she had no knowledge that Travis had caused harm to her daughter, and has stated that he had never been violent toward her until after Charlotte was gone. Renee stepped forward in defense of her daughter, saying that Caitlin had been living in a state of fear and control, forced to maintain contact with Travis out of concern for her own safety and that of her unborn child. And she stated that she had personally seen Caitlin with signs of injury following conflicts. Renee also emphasized that at the time, other people were living in the house, including Travis's parents. And according to her, Travis's mother was believed to have been present on the morning the incident occurred, but did not raise any alarms or seek any form of assistance. After everything that happened, Kirsten created Charlotte's Voice, a community formed with the hope of keeping Charlotte's memory alive and never allowing it to be forgotten. Through Charlotte's Voice, sparkling pink bracelets, the color Charlotte loved most, are shared as a way to remember her and connect those who continue to hold her in their hearts. The goal of this community goes beyond preserving memory. It also focuses on fundraising to support the organizations that stood by Charlotte during the moments when help was needed most, including Cooper University Hospital, the Camden County Prosecutor's Office, and the Gloucester Police Department. To Kirsten, Charlette is not just a memory, but an inseparable part of her life. She often replays a familiar video in which Charlotte pops her head out of bed at 10 o'clock p.m. and cheerfully says "Tada," a simple moment that still tightens her heart every time she sees it. Kirsten believes that Charlotte is still present in some way, through the smallest signs, as if she continues to quietly watch over and protect the people she loved. As I close Charlotte's story, I can't help but return to a painful but necessary lesson that deserves to be repeated. Children cannot speak up to protect themselves, and sometimes even a moment of hesitation, a quiet belief that everything will work itself out, can lead to consequences that can never be undone. Charlotte was not lacking love, but she was lacking timely intervention, lacking decisive action when the warning signs had already appeared. This story is not only the loss of one family, but a reminder to all of us of our responsibility to listen, to act, and to never turn away from uneasy instincts. Thank you for staying and listening to Charlotte's story with me today on True Crime Documentary. If you would like to honor Charlette, please leave a comment below as a message for her. Don't forget to share this video so her story can reach more people. Press like if you found this content meaningful, and subscribe to the channel to continue walking with me through the next episodes of True Crime Documentary. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.